Welcome back to Module 4 of our online certification program on performance management. In this module, we will cover the framework of effective performance management. We would be talking about basic principles of effective performance management system, salient features of PMS, and the role of HR business partner or PMS POC in making PMS effective in their organization. So when we talk about the three basic principles, or when we talk about the principles of effective PMS system, there are three basic principles for an effective performance management system. One is alignment. The PMS system should be aligned with the business strategies and priorities. Second is measurability and transparency. It should be able to drive measurability and transparency. And third is it should be continuous and systematic process to improve performance. Let us understand them in detail in the coming slides. First, alignment with business strategies and priorities. What do we mean? So when we say alignment of business strategies and priorities, we mean to say that aligning the KPIs or the KRAs with the organizational strategies or the priorities. We can say that all the employees' goals, KPIs, KRAs, and targets should be aligned with the organizational goal defined for that years, which means that the KPIs or the performance measures within an organization correctly relate to one another and to the things that matters the most for the organization, like its strategy and the purpose. It should not be that the KRA or KPI should be misaligned or doesn't relate to what the organization as a whole wants to drive. These alignments of KPIs with organizational goals make it possible for everyone to see how they contribute to the organization in the best possible way to ensure that the organizational goals are achieved. This is the benefit of aligning it. One of the ways to do this is cascading goals. There are many frameworks or details about goal cascade, but we are just understanding. Let us understand it with one example. So generally, when we cascade goals, when we say cascade goal means that the goals, organizational goals, are broken down or they flow into the individual or the department's goal. It is broken further. So when we say cascading goal, there are 4 stages. One is an organization has a long-term goal. Then they have a short-term goal. From the short-term goal, the departmental goals are derived, and from the departmental goals, individuals' goal sheets or the goals are derived to achieve the short-term strategy of the organization. And then these short-term strategies, when we continue achieving 100%, all of these short-term strategies in turn then helps in achieving the long-term goals of the organization. I hope I am making some sense and able to make it understand to you. So taking an example of this in sales vertical. So for example, an organization has a long-term goal of achieving 5,000 crores revenue in next 5 years. That's a long-term goal. How they break them into a short-term goal, they have defined is they want to achieve 1,000 crore in 1 year and subsequently 1,000 in following 4 years. Now they distribute this 1,000 crore into the various sales departments who are driving revenue for them as 100 crores each department. And then further this 100 crore is broken or cascaded down to the employees' goals of XYZ revenue basis the roles or the category they are driving. Similarly, if we talk about HR function, there is HR vertical. Of course, the organization's long-term goal and short-term goal will remain same for all the departments, which is to achieve 5,000 crore in next 5 years and 1,000 crore in this fiscal year. What HR can do in this? It can translate indirectly into the department's goal, which means HR, instead of driving the revenue directly, but can help in hiring the right resources, within TAT and thinking or working upon direct hiring rather than paying to the consultants so that even they can save the cost. They can also devise strategies to retain the talent so that they don't incur high attrition and they are able to get them drive better performance. Now, this departmental goal, HR departmental goal, further gets divided into the various verticals of HR who are driving this company department goals. Next point comes measurability and transparency. A PMS should also be able to drive measurability and transparency of performance in an organization, which means that the KRAs and the KPIs and the targets defined in the employee's goal sheet should be quantifiable and easy to measure. This helps in bringing transparency and clarity to the individual as to what is expected out of them to deliver at work, and KRA measures that people are utilizing their time to area that produces most ROI. Qualitative KRA should be avoided. So mostly just try that for each KRA which you define in the goal sheet, they are measurable, like that X%, retention of employees Y%, so and so. Quantifiable KRAs can be created using SMART framework. SMART relates to specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Specific means that the vague goals should be misleading or should not deliver better results. So it's better that you define what you expect to see happen, the greater the chance of achieving exact role. If the person's job is to drive X amount of revenue, it should be clearly mentioned to achieve X revenue in certain time of period, or monthly revenue is so and so, so that they are clear what they have to achieve. Then measurable, set goals in a way that produces visible, tangible results. It helps in to use matrices that can be quantified. Achievable, objective must be reasonably attainable, taking into account a practical obstacles such as money, labor, time, etc. So basically, unrealistic goals should not be defined. These should be more realistic and achievable goals so that employee also achieves it and are able to show their performance. Relevant, the goals must be relevant. The goals must be applicable to the employee involved in achieving them. It should not be irrelevant goal. Now, for example, if there is a teamwork or they have to work on a team-based working or multiple departments work together, so it should not be, and if the goal is dependable on two people's working, so it should be clearly defined whose role is what and whose is what, so that they are relevant to the roles and they are achievable for them and provide the clarity. Time-bound, setting an end date by which the goals can be reasonably achieved, motivated employees without pressuring them. Anyways, timelines always provides a clarity to the individual as well as the management. By transparency, we mean that decisions related to performance improvement and measurement, such as planning, work allocation, guidance and counseling and monitoring, performance reviews, etc., should be effectively communicated to the employees and more members in the organizations. Encourage transparency in terms of driving employee performance through communication between the manager and employee, and provide performance feedback by the manager to the employee. Transparency in cascade down organizational targets is also required. Continuous and specific process to improve PMS. With this, we mean to say that the PMS cycle, that is the review, frequency of the reviews, should be well defined in advance to encourage frequent performance conversations between the manager and the employee. Should encourage and provide opportunity to regular performance feedbacks. Should be defined in such a way that it encourages reward and improves the performance and drives growth. and should lead way to employee development cycle and other facets of employee life cycle. Example, fair compensation, maintaining employee efficiency, promoting and retaining talent, succession planning. So a PMS process should always be continuous. It should not happen that you did the performance reviews this year and then left it. Whatever were the outcomes defined from the review documents, whether in terms of development needs, training needs, or promotion, or some strengths, are just left behind. Or it should not happen that the goal settings have not been done in the beginning of the financial year. Whereas when you realize, oh, the financial year is going to end and the PMS cycle needs to be continued, then you set up the goal settings and get the reviews done. So that just breaks the continuity. Instead, you should focus that every employee receives their goals in beginning of the financial year. They have clear clarity of what is to be done and expected by them. Regular check-ins or discussions between the manager and the employee on the performance happens and takes place. Formal feedback is given by the manager, not only verbally, but also in writing, so that it helps in further documentation. It helps further and reduces the documentation, we can say. And such things should be followed as a good practice. So what are the salient features of an effective PMS? So from the previous slides, we can gather that the PMS cycle should, number one, be synchronized with the organizational goals. Number two, it should have clearly defined goal sheet. The clearly defined goal sheet, you need to be able to set clear goals for your employees and be able to establish time frames for these goals. This allows you to communicate in a two-way process with each employee, setting the goals and reviewing their performance based on how the goals are achieved. It's easy for them to see what they have to do, and it's easy for you to analyze their performance. Enable opportunity to provide constructive feedback and clearly display employee performance. So enable opportunity to provide feedback means that there should be no such thing as negative feedback in the performance management system. Telling someone that you are doing a bad job would not help you. Instead, when people are not up to the scratch or up to the mark, you should provide constructive feedback through this system. Tell them what is going wrong and how do they need to improve or boost their performance. On the other hand, you can also praise the employees when they do the good work and achieve all the goals. You should also try to have a predefined structured feedback system. Clearly display employee performance. What do we mean by this? We mean that you need a system to paint a clear picture of how every employee is performing. When you look at your system, you should be able to focus on one individual and clearly see their performance trajectory. The benefit of this is, as it can show you if someone is steadily improving, staying around about the same level or declining. Therefore, you can decide on the next steps depending on their performance. Another key feature is in performance management is that it should become enabler to other areas of employee life cycle. And it should drive growth and succession planning, which means that you should be able to identify any training opportunity for your employees. You can analyze their workflow. It can become apparent that someone lacks in one particular area or they need to improve further training. You can flag it up, communicate with the team, set them up and go on a course which they can train and create an individual employee development or growth plan. By being supportive to your employees, you can end up making them better, and this benefits to your company as a whole and of course encourages succession planning. Now, what is the role of HR in making this PMS effective in their organization? As per a research done by Aon Consulting, there are 3 key success factors that an HR professional, irrespective of their domain, must display in order to effectively drive the performance strategy and its implementation in an organization. These three factors are business acumen, effective partnership, and technical expertise. Now let's take a look at what professionals in the performance management space need to do directionally to succeed in their roles by using these three pillars as anchors. Number one, what is business? First, let's understand what is business acumen, and then we will understand how HR can contribute or what's in it for them. So business acumen is keen, fundamental, street smart insights into how the business operates and sustains profitable growth. When we say keen, fundamental, street smart, we mean that enthusiastically look into the basic operations of the business. You need to have even small understanding of the business and not leave yourself at a bird eye view understanding. That means even though you are an HR professional, or instead, this is valid for any employee who is working in the organization. If they have a good business acumen, that means they understand their business well. They are able to align themselves with the business or the organization better. They actually identify and they understand the purpose of their role in the organization and how they can contribute further to it. It is the ability to see the big picture of your organization, how the key drivers of your business relates to each other, work together to produce profitable growth, and relate to the job you do each day. It is about reflecting how your actions and decisions affect key company measures and the objectives of your organizational leadership. There's one more plus point. If you have good business understanding, your business leaders also give a good weightage to you. You also gain a good reputation in front of them. Now, what does this mean, having a good business acumen to you as HR professionals? It means that strategically managing performance to achieve business outcomes by quantifying visions and missions to tangible performance matrices. That means to translate it into different performance matrices, defining the goals of all the key stakeholders in performance management, and embedding high performance into organizational culture. Next is effective partnership. Effective partnership is all about having synergy within different departments of the business. It is about believing in a shared vision and mission, making sure each partner's need and expectations are addressed, identified, and utilizing strength of each partner, and working towards the common goal. As a HR practitioner, you can developing yourself to encourage as a there's a typo error. It is trusted advisor to the key stakeholders and other functions by one is onboarding employees on the performance management process. That means having everyone to drive the performance management process properly, enabling talent reviews to ensure holistic performance evaluation, and building managers who can drive employees' ability, agility, and aspiration. So this is a very important key aspect for you, that as we mentioned earlier, PMS is broadly the role of HR Spock. HR is the key driver of the PMS. You can't leave it just like that. You need to drive it completely. Third is technical expertise. Technical expertise is the set of niche ability and knowledge needed to perform specific tasks. It is about having in-depth knowledge on how to execute and implement about your role-specific task effectively. So as the HR business partner, it means to you that designing and implementing a performance management system by 1 is deploying the PMS performance process effectively, 2 driving the key aspects of performance management process, that is goal setting, reviews, ratings, etc. Everything is following timely, is done as per the defined process and not. And third is leveraging technology to redefine stakeholders' experience. With all this, we can say that for a PMS process to succeed, it is very important that the HR anchors the complete process very tightly and ensures that the PMS system creates a buy-in with all the stakeholders, be it employee, manager, or a reviewer. Unless your PMS process is smooth, impactful, and serves purpose to the employee's development and driving performance, it will be difficult to create that impact. So HR should always try to follow these 3 basic principles of PMS as mentioned in the previous slides and try to make the process easy and continuous. That is it in this module. Thank you so much for your attention.